good Monday morning to you. Welcome to our live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road, across the street from the old Kmart, the garden center of the old Kmart. Our phone lines are 896-0713, 800-349-0713. You have a question for the doctors pertaining today's subject or any subject, we invite you to give us a call. We can put you on the air asking them personally, or if you don't want to be on the air, you can just pass the information along to our operator and they will pass it along to us. This morning, we're talking about the libido.
Yeah, and before we get into that, like you said, you gave out the numbers, and we really appreciate you calling in. Like I say, you don't have to be on the air. They'll take your question.
And you don't even have to say your name.
Don't even have to say your name.
No.
Or make up one.
Because always on a sensitive subject, people don't want to call in.
But not only on this, what we call sensitive subject, anything. And if you've got an idea for a show, if you'd like to, a subject that you say, ooh, I think they need to talk about that, let us know.
And it's funny because when I was researching this a little bit, I actually thought of another subject. Because, which is probably, they're linked to each other, anxiety.
Yeah, because anxiety, actually we know stress is one of the biggest things to lower libido.
No, yep,
and
definitely.
How many people have everyday stressful lives nowadays? So
male
that's
and
something,
female,
male and female.
Yes.
So both.
Whether it's family related, job related, just personal things in your life.
World related, right?
World related, that's, political related.
Yes, any of the above, right.
But so that's what we're talking about this morning. And as Jim said, it is a kind of a sensitive subject. So if you don't want to be on the air, you just want to have a question, just pass it along to our operator, and they'll be glad to pass it along to us. Reasons for low libido is kind of several things.
Oh, there's a multitude of things, and we kind of probably need to break it down male-female kind of thing. Because, and you want to start with the female?
Yeah, ladies first.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Well, we can talk about female. Now, as a whole, the female libido is much lower than a man's anyway. As a whole, you'll occasionally find a woman that has a higher libido, but as a whole, it's not. And there's definitely things that actually affect the libido. One of the big ones in young women is birth control pills. Birth control pills is known to completely stop libido, just about. So that's one of the things that actually does it. Another, of course, is, and this is both in men, men and women, is the SSRIs, your antidepressants, your tranquilizers, the benzodiazepines, all that. Now that's more in the young woman. Of course, then you have the women that hit menopause. And as menopause changes, now not all men have the hormonal changes. Now they have some as they get older, but women are always going to have some hormonal changes in midlife. It's just part of it. Menopause is going to happen, and as the libido lowers, as the hormones lower, the libido tends to go down, and you will see some women after a while, after being in menopause, it kind of comes back. But there's a lot of things that can help. So with women, we always say you want to kind of restore your hormones. And one hormone is DHEA. And then another is your progesterone, which is the most common, the first hormone to fall in premenopause in the 40s, is the progesterone tends to go down. And so even the natural progesterone can play a role.
Okay. We have a call on the air. Ralph from Long Beach has a question. Well, I'm sorry, but what is the best way for a man to improve sex drive? Supplements, or are there other things?
Well, again, just like Janine said, with the female, we want to make sure the hormones are right. Because low testosterone can definitely, make a play in that. There's no doubt about it. So that's something that needs to be looked at. And there are supplements you can take. I'm not a big advocate, and we're not a big advocate of the injectable testosterone, things like that, because, and this show would have to be an hour and a half long to go into all the problems you can get into with that. But you can cause problems with it. But there are things that you can do naturally that will actually increase the libido and increase, for instance, you mentioned DHEA. Janine mentioned DHEA in the female. Same thing goes for the guys. So you got to make sure that that's in adequate range. And as we get more mature, I don't like the word, but as we mature,
thank you.
Yes, right. As we mature, we tend to have lower DHEA, so that's something that you want to have checked. One of the things that we typically will do if somebody comes in, and this is not a problem that is rare. I would say every day, if we see 10 people a day, probably 5 of them, this is one of their complaints. May not be the chief complaint, but it's one of their complaints.
Now, another thing you said with supplements or other, one of the big others is one of the big things that we see is linked to low testosterone in men is blood sugar handling problems. If you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, you're almost always going to have on the lower end of testosterone or very low. I mean, it just depends on the person. So changing the diet, controlling your blood sugar, losing weight. If you look it up, it's one of the big things that decreases sex drive in both men and women is weight gain. If you don't feel good about yourself, you tend to not have as high of a sex drive. So actually losing the weight, changing the diet, exercising, they've definitely shown exercise to increase sex drive. So there's a lot of things you can do other than supplements, but there are quite a few supplements you can do, and it depends on the person. You know, we have one called AndroBuild that does make your own body produce more testosterone on its own, and that's one thing that increases sex drive. So, I mean, that's one thing, the DHEA that we talked about. There's actually some of the things that boost dopamine that actually help. Things that boost dopamine tend to help sex drive. Things that increase serotonin lower sex drive. So there's even supplements, even some of the natural supplements that's for depression, just like the medications, that can actually lower sex drive.
They certainly can.
Yeah. So you have to look at each person individually. See what they're taking, you know, what their individual needs are, where their hormones are. Is it hormonal? Sometimes it's not. You know, mental can play a big role in it as well.
Oh yeah, there we go back to stress and anxiety.
And depression. I mean, you start looking, depression is another huge
And then
one.
then you get on the antidepressants, which is
and then that makes it even worse.
Yeah,
exactly.
It can really make them worse. So yeah, that's something you want to look at. You know, if depression's an issue, you want to look at all the things you can do naturally, you know, to do that rather than jump on an antidepressant, because it does carry some side effects.
And of course,
last resort, you can do it. But
and of course, when we come back, we'll talk about how lifestyle can affect as well. So we're talking about your libido today, your sex drive, 896-0713, 800-349-0713, here on our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition on Cowan Road, Gulfport, south of Pass Road. Remember, this program will be rebroadcast this Friday morning at 9 o'clock here on WLOX CBS. Margie is on the phone with a question about cholesterol statin drugs. Good morning, Margie.
Good morning. My question is, why do patients grow belly girth? Why do they get fat when they're on the cholesterol-controlling statin drugs?
Well, you know, for one thing, the cholesterol, all the statin drugs do something. They interfere with what we call the HMG-CoA reductase, which is a big long name for one of the ways the body makes cholesterol. It's the thing is our liver makes cholesterol. It has to. Even if you're a totally vegetarian, your liver has to make cholesterol because we have to have it for the sex hormones, for one, and amongst of other things too. Every cell in your body's got cholesterol in it, so just to understand that. Now, when you start taking these drugs, when they block that HMG-CoA pathway, they decrease the cholesterol and they decrease the coenzyme Q10.
And they also decrease hormones. And if you take a man and you lower their testosterone, they're going to gain weight.
And you slow down the physiology, because if you don't have enough CoQ10, then metabolically, every cell in your body kind of slows down.
Because the mitochondria can't make as much ATP, which is cellular energy. So it does slow you down, and at the same time it changes the hormones.
And if you want to know a little bit more about this, we're going to have on our radio show that we do on Tuesday evening at 7 on Voice America. You can go to our website and see
on
that.
the 18th.
On the 18th, we're going to have Dr. Stephanie Seneff from MIT on there again. And this time I've promised her she can let loose with statins, because that's her biggest pet peeve is statin drugs, and she's got the science behind it. So it'll be a very interesting hour-long show, I promise.
Did we answer your question?
Yes, you did. One minor trivia question.
Okay.
Sure.
Where do I get a Doctor's Nutrition coffee cup?
Oh.
Where else? Doctor's Nutrition.
Come by our store. I think we do have a few left. Come by.
I'm sure we do.
Excellent. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for calling, Margie. Okay, as we mentioned that we're talking about libido and low libido and everything. A lot of it has to do as well. You know, we talk about diet and all and everything is our lifestyle.
Sure.
I mean, there are things that that will affect that too. I mean, our good old friend sugar. Sugar.
The way people eat, sugar handling problems.
Alcohol.
Yes, alcohol's definitely been shown, even though people think of having somebody have a few drinks and they'll have a better libido, it actually doesn't.
Yeah.
After a certain point, it actually makes
fall
it
asleep
worse.
in the middle of
Exactly.
it.
So and one of the things that alcohol really affects, and we mentioned libido, but it actually affects ED. And ED and libido are actually a little different. I'll let you talk about the differences in those two.
I always get this subject for some reason. The guys come in and I want to talk to him.
Have the kids leave the room.
Right. And the ladies just kind of like, okay, they know what's coming. But ED is such a big. I mean, watch the TV for God's sakes. I mean, commercial after commercial after commercial about one of those drugs for ED.
Yeah, the blue one or the yellow
one. The blue ones or the pink ones or peach or whatever color they are.
Yeah.
All right. So you got choices, blue or peach, whatever, and the problem is ED is not necessarily low hormones. It can be, but ED can also just be from some of these other things, like some of the drugs and stuff that we talked about, like if you're on high blood pressure medications, and even some of the drugs used to control blood sugar cause ED. So, and if you're a guy and you're on, I'm on blood pressure medication, I'm on a sugar medication, and I'm on an antidepressant, what do you think your chances are? Not good.
And just like we just talked about, statins,
Statins
also
too, right.
lowers the testosterone some
Right.
because cholesterol is one of the precursors to testosterone.
Exactly.
So when you lower the cholesterol, you're also going to lower the testosterone some. So testosterone, no doubt, low testosterone affects ED. But just because you have ED does not mean you have low testosterone.
No, it's because I've
Yes.
had several of them, several men, that they come in, and that's one of their chief complaints is ED. But they're on, 3 or 4 drugs like we just talked about. And when we did the test, I just got to have a test. I want to test my testosterone. Sure, we can do that. And what's really amazing is I've had several come back where their biggest complaint was ED, and their testosterone is darn good for their age. I mean, very good. So it's like, okay, that ain't the problem.
Another big issue, other than medication, is blood flow.
Right.
Actually, they say that ED, take away all the other factors and there's nothing else that's causing it, it can actually be a sign of heart disease. Because
one of the first warning signs.
It's one of the first warning signs because the artery to the penis is one of the smallest in the body. And if you start getting plaque in that artery, you're going to actually restrict blood flow. So if you start restricting blood flow there, you don't know where else you may have plaque in the arteries.
Well, you probably got plaque in many other places.
Right. So it is another sign that something else can be wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot of science now coming out about that. That's one of the, if you will, early warning signs. If you get a guy in his 50s and so on, 40s, 50s, and so on, having ED, you really need to get very serious about some other health issues. And that's when you start looking at some of these cardiovascular tests and stuff to find out, what is your risk factors. There's just it gets into a whole can of worms, so to speak, if you will. But it's stuff that we can test. The C-reactive protein, which is an inflammatory marker. I mean, there's just a host of things.
Homocysteine. And even thyroid problems have been shown to also cause libido problems in both men and women. So you start looking, but they've actually found thyroid hormone plays a role in hormone productions. If it's not right, then your hormones aren't right. So there's a lot of things to it. It's not just one thing, and it's not just set for every person. So that's why we always say it's always better to do the lab work. It's better to find out what's going on. But there are things that you can do about it if you do find a problem. So, because we see it a lot. And I do want to tell people, don't feel bad that you have a problem, because it is very common.
You're in good company.
Very common.
It's
yes.
quite a few.
All right, Becky has a question. How about foods that help with the ED? How about the old thing about oysters?
Well, actually, oysters is actually shown to be more of an aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
So it's actually more about libido, not ED.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we talked about before, ED is not necessarily
But how many
libido.
oysters have you got to eat?
A lot, but oysters
few.
have been shown to actually help with libido.
Because
now,
of some of the,
what
compounds
helps
they have in
with ED would be more of your arginine-containing foods.
Nuts.
And
Seeds.
things like that that actually have real high arginine. Arginine is probably one of the better things for ED because it increases blood flow. Now, we're talking about oysters are more aphrodisiac, which is more libido. And that's kind of where we wanted to say there's a difference. Is
like
because
your red shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
The color red, they do say,
red.
is also.
Yeah.
I wore because of today's subject. I wore the red.
Right. Because that it is an aphrodisiac, if you will. That color tends to do that. So interesting.
I'm at loss for words.
He don't do that often.
All right, we'll be
That's
back.
rare.
We'll be back in just a moment, and with our special of the week, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Our phone lines are open to you today here on Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. And welcome back to our Friday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctor's Nutrition, located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, south of Pass Road. They're open Monday through Saturday, Monday through Friday from 10 to 5, Saturdays 11 to 2. The doctors are there Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
I
it.
remembered that.
Yeah, so you did good. You did good.
But we're talking about low libido, and we kind of ended thing with the fact of my red shirt. Red is a color of passion. And there's other little things that you can do. I mean, as you mentioned, red roses. Bring your significant other some roses.
Yeah, advice to the guys out there. Being nice actually helps.
Be nice. Be nice.
It really does
Men
help.
don't always need the extra niceness in order to increase their libido, but sometimes women do. So maybe, be a little nicer, do a little nice things, have date nights. They've actually shown that date nights definitely make a difference.
And I'll say this from a man's perspective.
Yep.
Men are very visual.
Yeah.
Visual, with women, doing little things, leaving notes or all this, but with men, for lack of better words, that little trip to Victoria's Secret or something like that,
It has shown to
or
actually
ladies
help.
surprise him with something like that, and those little things like that help as well.
They do.
Oh, definitely.
They
definitely.
So, just kind of give you an idea about some of the things there. But, a lot of it, as we were saying, it has to do with, again, changing your lifestyle, watching your diet, things that you
Watching
need
your
to.
diet, making sure your thyroid's right, making sure your stress hormones down, making sure your hormones are normal. And we mentioned medications, but we did want to say don't just stop taking your blood pressure medication.
Don't do that.
I mean, you don't want to just do that. If you change your lifestyle enough to where then you actually help the problems you're taking stuff for, and then you can work with your doctor at maybe decreasing dosages. So we do say, we did want to kind of put that out there, is don't just stop everything.
No. And one of the good things that you can do is, go see Doctor's Nutrition and get some blood work done.
Yep.
See where you stand. Jennifer from Gulfport has a question. Is having trouble getting pregnant.
All right, that's usually hormonal.
That actually, we see that a lot, and we can say that we really do have pretty good success at helping people get pregnant. One of the girls that works for us always laughs and says that I get everybody pregnant. And I said, well, that's kind of, I can't do that, but it is something, but it's things you have to look at. We do have a panel that we do. If someone's having trouble getting pregnant, and it can be a multitude of things, and it actually can be low nutrients, it can actually be the hormones aren't right, you're not making enough progesterone, the ovaries aren't producing enough. There's a lot of reasons, but that's what we got to find out. So come in, and everybody's reason's a little bit different on that one, but doing the lab work will tell us more about what might help you get pregnant.
Well, we've actually, over the years, we've seen an awful lot of females that had these problems. And through some of the things that we do, the various things that we can do to help metabolize the hormones differently and so on, they wind up pregnant.
We have a lot of women in their 40s come in that never got pregnant younger. We had one just the
got
other day called
a
and said, oh my gosh.
One that's out of state, and she's 40, and she called, and we've been working with her for quite a while, and she had a lot of issues, and these things have been taken care of. She's really getting healthier. And she called up and she said, just wanted to let you know, I just had a positive pregnancy test. And of course, I'm thinking, well, okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And she said, well, we're very excited, but we just didn't expect it.
But
and
her
I said,
husband's 61 and
yeah,
she's 40.
She's 40, so
but we do see it a lot in the 40s when people say they never were able to get pregnant.
And that was her. She had all kind of difficulties.
And then they come in and say, well, now I'm past that. I want to get my hormones straightened out because I don't feel well, my libido's down, all that. So we work with them on controlling hormones, and they pop up pregnant because they don't think they can. And I always warn people, if you start straightening out your hormones, you better be careful or you can get pregnant. And they always say, nah, I'm not going to get pregnant.
Famous last words.
So that is something that we do see even in the 40s, which sometimes
Come out with that little stick one morning from the bathroom.
That's,
honey, guess what?
So that is something. We probably should talk about the special real quick.
Yes.
Because
Special for the week.
Right.
Yep.
We have,
Special is Libido Stem F, which is a product that is put together for, of course, women. We have an M, but the manufacturer has been out recently, so that's why it's not on sale.
A lot of guys needing
and
that
we
stuff
will
right
have
now.
it, but we don't have it right now.
Right.
So Libido Stem F for women, and then the Andro Build, which does actually help boost testosterone. It actually helps boost your own production of testosterone.
And that's for the guys.
Yes, that's for the guys.
Okay. Now, there's looking at this, is there a difference between, I guess, libido would be your desire?
Yes.
Yeah, the
Libido is
desire is
desire.
there, but it's just the
Performance.
the performance is just,
Right.
you can't.
Yep.
Well, typically, and that gets back to all these various health issues, and like I say, a lot of times if it's medication induced, they just can't perform properly.
Right.
And, so there's so many things that get into it, and that's where you have to take everybody as an individual, sit down and say, okay, let's go through the whole thing, find out, medications they're on, things that, maybe they have to change their lifestyle, diet, whatever. And, let's face it, if we can change your diet and your lifestyle and your sex life gets better, what else will get better? I mean, think about it, everything's going to get better. And so it's well worth it doing it. And that's what we do, is kind of an individualized thing and something like that. You can't just, so here's something.
Everybody
throw at it,
take this.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't just say everybody needs this one
And a lot
thing.
of it is mental.
It is.
Yeah.
It can be mental, like we talked about, anxiety and depression. In today's hectic life,
Oh, yes.
I think that probably plays a role in a lot of people's problems, is the hectic life. Because
yeah.
everybody kind of go, and a lot of people never sit down long enough to rest and enjoy.
Yeah. As they say, you got to...
Stop and smell the roses?
Mac Davis.
Yes.
Mac Davis did that song
Stop
a long
and
time
smell
ago.
the roses.
Got to
That's
stop and
right.
smell the roses. So,
That's right.
things that you
need to do that.
Think about what's important. A lot of times people don't put their relationship as one of the high importance.
Right.
And so that's one thing that also needs to be done, is actually make it more important.
And getting plenty of rest.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
Sleep
that's-
deprivation will definitely
I
affect
mean,
it.
if you're tired, let's face
Fatigue,
it,
man,
male or
that'll
female.
get you big
It'll get
time.
you if you're tired and fatigued, and especially even women with young kids. I mean, that it makes it harder.
Makes it a lot
That's why
harder.
date night sometimes is better when you do have small kids. Now, for the older people, of course, they usually don't have the kids left at home.
Still, they can have a date.
So they can still have date night, yeah.
Yeah,
Still
that's
have
a good thing. You can find a neighbor or something to watch the kids for a little,
Right.
for a little while to,
Exactly.
to do that. What is our subject going to be on next week?
Vitamin K2.
Vitamin K2.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, K1, K2.
K2.
We're going to be talking about the difference between K1 and K2.
Okay.
Well, okay. Bill had a question
Bill
about.
had a question.
Is there such thing as too much or too little sex?
Too little. I'm not sure that there's a thing there. Too
Well,
much, possibly. I guess.
no,
That
I
interferes with
actually-
daily life. I don't know.
They actually find that men not having sex at all affects the prostate.
Yes.
So it actually, too little would cause
Would
problem.
cause problem there. Right. yeah.
I mean, too much if it takes over your life, and there are a few people that actually have addictions, and that's probably not good either.
Right.
But most people don't have that problem. And actually, they find that sex is good for you. It's actually good for emotional stability. It's
Right.
good for your physical ability. It's good
Right.
for men's prostate. It's
I was
good
going to say
for
prostate health. It's really big.
it's
I mean,
good for
there's been-
depression. So
yeah.
I can say, in most cases, most people are not going to get too much.
Yeah, because that glowing feel that you feel
Yeah.
Right,
afterwards,
afterwards, right.
Yes.
that
But-
afterglow.
Yeah.
But too little, especially on men, has been shown detrimental to the prostate.
Right. That's true. So there you go, Bill.
Yep.
Then I'm sure the next question will be, okay, how much is too little?
Yeah, that,
Hard to define.
I
that
don't know
one,
if you
yeah.
could define how much is right.
Or how much is too much? Well, it's like,
Exactly.
Okay, you got 20 minutes, and
Yeah.
we're got a break there. But so K2.
Yes.
K2.
K2, it's bone density, heart disease, overall health. There's so much information that people don't know about K2.
Okay.
And they don't know the difference between K1 and K2.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, well,
Very
that's the subject for next week. Again, if you have any questions, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. This show will be rebroadcast on Friday at 9 o'clock, or you can email me a question at jtabor@wlox.com. Have a great day.